Howdy, hey there YouTube. It is me, Cecil Games, and I have not uploaded a video on this channel in a long time. I'm actually afraid of checking, so I'm not going to check. I'm just gonna say, hey, what's up, guys? It's been a little bit, yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and get right down to business. So on my Twitter, I tweeted out that I was rewatching my Yandere City roleplay, and it was just giving me a lot of nostalgia, so I really wanted to try to make a video for the people that have been asking over and over again to bring back my roleplays, just to sort of explain what would have happened in my roleplays, because for the time being, I'm not going to 100% say that they are canceled and they're at no point in the future they'll ever come back, but for right now, you can go ahead and say that they are canceled with a potential of someday returning, but that someday is not anytime soon. I'm going to go ahead and say that right now. Let's go ahead and just get right into the meat of this, which is explaining what would have happened in the One Piece roleplay and what could still potentially happen in the future. I don't know if I'm going to do a reboot or a continuation if I ever do decide to do anything with the series ever again, but here we go. So, where we last left off, what happened? They were going to leave the island in pursuit of a doctor that would try to help Cecil with his current situation, or something along those lines. I actually wrote the entire episode 8. Like, I'm pretty sure I left off on episode 7 of season 4. I wrote the entire script of episode 8. I'll go ahead and put it on the screen right now. Okay, so I realized how long of a video this is going to be if I just go into like super big details, or super small details I should say. So I'm just going to try to keep this not really vague, but sort of get to the point a lot quicker. So in episode 8, we were going to wrap up the stuff with Mahogany Man taking the place of Cecil and his crew taking the place of Talon and Leon. From there, we were going to see some new characters named Vale and Hit. I'll also put this whole script in the description if you guys wanted to just read them or whatever. Or read it, I should say. I didn't write more than one. But Vale and Hit were going to be members of a certain thing that was going to happen this season. I'll get to it. But if you guys haven't noticed, there's been a few interesting characters. I don't know how many I actually highlighted. I think maybe 3? Something like that. There was one who talked to Jeff and who had a fight against some dude, and we got to see a little bit of his power. And he had like a cake head or something like that. I forget all this stuff. This was such a long time ago. And then Vale and Hit were going to be part of these people as well. And they really want Sneaky Gun's mask, or Talon's mask. They just call him the Sneaky Gun. And they have like a little argument, but eventually it doesn't go anywhere. And they just decide to keep going with the mission that is at hand. Then after that, Talon, Leon, and other Cecil head to this island, Hospice Port, the new island that they were going to go to get to this doctor. And there they see a woman who is crying and is hurt because her eyes are apparently missing. She's like, where's my eye? What is going on? It was just one eye, not both. So Leon and Leon and Talon catch up to other Cecil who sees this first, and they're like, what the heck did you do to this woman? And other Cecil's like, bruh, I ain't do this. So then a bystander nearby, he explains to them, my boy, that's just what happens here. There's this certain doctor, he a crazy person, and my boy, sometimes people go there and they ain't come back the same. So that automatically gets their little hearts beating. They're like, hey, maybe that's the doctor we gotta go to. And it just so happens to be something along those lines, man. I kind of glanced over. I didn't exactly read this whole script. I can't be bothered. But yeah, so they finally make it to the hospital, where they then see that the bystander was actually the doctor. And the woman whose eye was missing was actually his assistant. So from there, what happens? Talon and Leon freak out about the fact that this is all going down. The bystander and the woman were actually in cahoots and doing junk. And the doctor's name was Montgomery Wolf, I believe, and then the woman's name was Velvet. Okay, so that was that. So let me go ahead and now just give you a little rundown of what the rest of the series that I had planned out so far was going to be. So the doctor was going to gauge certain information about the 3 of them. Not just Cecil, but he also wanted to tackle... Ooh, I'm sorry, I just finished eating. He wanted to tackle Leon and Talon's issues. And we already did Talon's issues in the last season, so I wasn't going to retouch upon those. So instead, the doctor was really only going to notice the fact that Talon was like a really big pervert towards Velvet. And he was going to try to make him a little bit more chivalrous or something along those lines. And then Leon, I forget exactly how I wanted this to play, but eventually he was going to realize that Leon had certain issues with swordsmanship. And this ties into his past with like being forced into this crew to be one of their like strikers and one of their strongest people, forced to fight for the blade, or with the blade, rather than the way that his father sort of taught him. He was like taught in a whole nother way that he strongly disliked, as we all saw in the backstory and everything like that. And that sort of got to him. So the doctor really wanted to tackle all three of their issues. And this doctor is a special doctor where he has 7 different personalities, and each one specializes in a different field. I forget if I've mentioned this before, but that was sort of his whole shtick. So 3 different personalities for 3 different peeps, I guess. But he was mainly going to focus on Cecil, and he gets 2 of his other people to sort of tackle Talon and Leon. The person who tackles Talon is this guy named Tyrone, who is Sex Master Tyrone, which is something that's like straight out of my friend Henry's like video game concept, which is just this like really like sexy dude who's just all about like suaveness and getting the ladies and gentlemen. He does not discriminate. And his devil fruit was going to be the sexy fruit, which makes it so he can imbue himself and other people with the properties of sexy, which means a slew of different things. Meanwhile, Leon was going to get this swordsman guy who I forget. Man, it's been such a long time since I planned all this stuff out. The guy was basically like attuned to the way of the sword, to the point where he could even hear just the way that like Leon's clashes with his sounded. He could tell that Leon's heart was not in swordsmanship, and his goal was to sort of bring that back out of him, that love for swordsmanship that he used to have as a kid. And then for Cecil, obviously, it was going to be a challenge against the doctor, where, by the way, these are all like challenges. Like the way that it works is not certain treatments, it is like a straight up challenge they have to do. Meanwhile, they are also being taught or like examined, taught, treated, all the spectrums in a way, while they are like, tackling these different obstacles ahead of them. So Cecil and other Cecil, they go up against the doctor, and the game is like the challenge is super easy, well, in concept, which is to try to catch this doctor. But the issue is that this doctor is teleporting around everywhere in this room that Cecil was put in, and Cecil and other Cecil are just like in this constant struggle against each other to try and they're just butting heads while all this is going on. And other Cecil is the one who's out first for the challenge. He's not able to catch this doctor. And Cecil is all like, Cecil. He's just like, hey, my boy, I can't believe you can't do this. What the heck? You're supposed to be the better version. They're just like teasing each other and everything like that. And other Cecil is like, well, you know what? If you think you can do a better job, then go ahead and take over. So he goes ahead and switches with regular Cecil. Meanwhile, as this is going on, Talon and Leon are having both of their struggles. I'm a little scatterbrained right now, but I'm just gonna try to formulate this into like actual thoughts. But the reason why all 3 of them decided to do this is because the way that this works is you can pay this doctor, and anyone who pays him will be able to get a treatment for anyone else as long as they do the challenge. So pretty much Leon, Talon, and Cecil all pay the amount, and all 3 of them are working to get Cecil his treatment, and only one person can do it once. So that's the reason why all 3 of them are doing it, because it's just they're trying to do this as fast as possible, so any of these 3 can go ahead and just wham bam, thank you ma'am, do it, and that's all that there is to it. At this point, I wanted other Cecil to sort of seem a little bit more human, because other Cecil, for a lot of people, just seems like this, I don't know if I would go with evil, but sort of just like this harsh, like not really sympathizable character. Like when I had him in the restaurant talking to like just that waiter, and also to Link and to what's his face, to Jeff, a lot of people were sort of confused, or not really confused, but they were surprised at how like normal he could be. And what you guys got to keep in mind is that his disdain is really with Cecil and his crew, because Cecil and his crew are like directly in the way of what other Cecil wants, which we will find out soon enough. So other Cecil at this point is like just hammering home how much he does not like Cecil, and just telling him that Cecil has ruined his life and that he has no right to have this body, and that when they get this treatment, obviously other Cecil's going to be the one to take control because he's the stronger one, yada yada yada. And regular Cecil, just hearing all this stuff is just like pressuring him so much, and he's just not able to grab this doctor at all, and he eventually just like caves. He just completely like shatters. And other Cecil like start speaking to him about how like you can't even catch a doctor, how are you going to save your crew from any sort of situation, just like bringing him down quite a bit. Meanwhile, on the other side, Leon and Talon are both having their fights, and both of them sort of tap into certain aspects that we didn't get to see previously, because as we knew, Talon was weakened throughout most of the series. For multiple seasons, he was weakened in different ways. Season 1, it was because of the issue with the potion that sort of weakened him. And then after that, he, in a weakened state, he fought against Blomar and lost. Then in season 2, he had a lack of sleep due to Yugos' effects. And then in season 3, those effects lingered on to season 3. And on top of that, in season 2, he also didn't have his devil fruit because of Yugos. But then, boom bam bop, bada beep boop bop. What am I even saying? Leon, he taps into the fire sword that they gave him, and it gives him the ability to sort of manipulate fire a little bit while he is in, his serious mode. Now that he's sort of, because he does decide to start fighting for something and putting a meaning behind his blade, which is that he wants to just sort of see Cecil as this pirate king. He sees Cecil as a dude that he can respect and follow. That all goes down into what happened last season, as well as all of this stuff that Cecil's been hiding in order to just sort of help people, and in order to also sort of see his own goal. And Leon's just really inspired by how much Cecil has had to burden upon himself without really sharing with other people. But Leon now wants to fight for Cecil, and that gives him a lot of courage and strength. So boom bam bop for them. And Leon and Talon both power up. They both say Cecil will be the Pirate King at the same time. I was going to have like an imagery of like these two demons behind both of them, a fire one for Leon and a shadow one for Talon. And then they were going to both cut down their peeps, not kill them obviously, and then they were both going to win the treatment for Cecil. Meanwhile, like I said, Cecil loses. I just sort of wanted to humanize other Cecil and also give highlight a little bit more to the dedication of Talon and Leon to Cecil. So the treatment happens, and this is where you find out that the reason why this doctor has been teleporting everywhere, and what the treatment actually is something that has to do with the Ope Ope no Mi. The doctor has the operation fruit. Oh my gosh, who would have guessed he has Law's fruit? So other Cecil and Cecil, they are escorted outside where the dude activates room, and he explains the way that his treatment works. Basically, the way that it works is he will cut, and whatever he cuts whoever he cuts needs to imagine his personality as just like a small object that can be just like removed from their body. And obviously the person that is more in control, the personality that is more in control will be the one that will stay in the body. And the way that this works is it's attached to the person's Haki. As the person's Haki is now sort of mixed in with like the mental image of the personality, the Ope Ope no Mi will do the rest, and it will cut out a small version of the person. And that small version of the person, is the what's it called? The little personality. So it'll just have that personality as a small little miniature person, and from there, anything can be done to it. It can be killed, it can be stored away, it can just live on its own. It's whatever, because it's such a small part, it's not really going to affect much, but that personality is still directly connected to the person. But because it's such a small part of the Haki, if it's killed, it's just like taking away that small chunk of Haki from a person for however long. It could probably come back. It could probably, just like with time, it could probably, you could just probably rebuild that part of your life force. The dude explains that to them. They understand, and the operation is done. Well, he swings his sword, and just as he's swinging his sword, and you think because other Cecil already switched with Cecil, now Cecil is the main personality, Cecil has the advantage. But no, my friend. That is not how this works. So, I don't know if this happened in episode 7 or 6 or which one. Oh no, it was episode 7. I think it was episode 7. So in episode 7, other Cecil was getting so annoyed by Link that he decided to switch early with Cecil. And there's this very small part that I don't think anyone picked up on. When they switched, other Cecil sat down, or maybe they did pick up on it, but they didn't they thought it was just like whatever. So they just didn't comment about it. Because it's honestly something that just watching, you could probably be like, there's probably something going on with this, but whatever. So other Cecil, he switches with regular Cecil, sits down in the throne room, and he just has this moment where he's like, huh? Or just some moment of what is this feeling sort of thing. And that was actually the fact that he now realizes that because he switched before the time limit, it's sort of building time that he can use whenever he wants to sort of switch back. Because he sort of feels like this sixth sense whenever they're about to do a switch or whatever. And he just feels like he still has the potential of switching back whenever he wants because he didn't complete the whole 6-hour routine that they have. So he's kept that in the back burner for this exact moment. So now that this procedure is about to be done, other Cecil's like, well, time to bank on this extra time that I've been building up. Let me go ahead and switch back out with regular Cecil. And now they have this power struggle in their mind to see who will be the one to maintain control. Both of them at the same time feel like they are now, they're struggling back and forth. And both of them both scream to the dude, do the procedure now. The dude swings his sword. And lo and behold, both of them boys split in half. And they die. No, they don't die. So the screen goes black. That's the way I've always imagined it. The screen goes black as soon as the slash goes right at the screen. When Cecil wakes up, he's like, hey, my boys, I did it. I'm the dominant personality. I get to live. He turns around and he sees Talon and Leon barely hanging on, just beaten and bruised on the ground. And other Cecil is just right there. So both of them boys have now gotten their own bodies. And the reason why neither of them are in miniature version has everything to do with the Abaddon. Here we go. Now we getting into other Cecil's backstory. But before that, other Cecil pretty much just wants to explain everything to Cecil. Everything that's been going on. Now that he no longer is stopped by these memories and these chains that are sort of stopping him from saying anything to Cecil, he can now put it all on the table. So, he explains his backstory to Cecil, but the backstory won't be explained until the next season, which the next season was going to be a 4-episode explanation of the backstory sided along with other Cecil's adventures out on his own body. So other Cecil explains everything to Cecil and then leaves. And he takes Old Reliable with him, I believe. And before he leaves, he talks to Leon and he's like, yo, Leon, give me the darkness fruit. And they're like, Nani? And then Leon's like, yeah. So, if you guys don't remember, at the end of season 3, Leon was all like, hey, yo, other Cecil and Mahogany Man, or I don't know if Mahogany Man, no, it was when he split up from other Cecil, because other Cecil was hearing Mahogany Man, something like that, and then Leon was all like, yo, you can just leave me here for the time being. I got something I gotta do, something I gotta get, and that something was the darkness fruit, and other Cecil figured as much, and it sort of became part of his plan, because when he was talking to Jeff in episode 7, Jeff was talking about all the benefits that came with being a warlord. So other Cecil sort of concocted his plan using what Jeff said. So the plan was to take the darkness fruit and use that to become a warlord. And the reason why this works is now in season 5 or mini season 4, 4.5. I don't know what you would want to call it. It was only going to be 4 or 5 episodes. So other Cecil goes off on his own with Old Reliable to get some crew members. Meanwhile, while he's getting crew members, we have his flashback. So I'll go ahead and tell you guys other Cecil's backstory. Let me see if I can find it. I think I wrote it down. This would be a really dumb thing to not write down. Okay, so I have found it. I actually did write it down. And I'm just going to read it verbatim. So here we go. Cecil lived with his parents and his older brother and sister over 13 years ago. Ever since Cecil was born, he exerted an energy that was so powerful it could knock out others around him. Conqueror's Haki. Usually, this ability could only activate when Cecil had an extreme emotional reaction, usually a negative one. The most common example of this would be his rampages caused by temper tantrums, which would destroy various structures on the island they lived on. Due to this, Cecil's family was shunned to the very edge of the village so that Cecil couldn't cause very much damage to the other inhabitants. It seemed like the only two that were not left unconscious completely just by being around Cecil during their rampages was his older brother Caleb and his older sister Charlotte, who would oftentimes be the ones to snap him out of his rages. From the age of 3, Cecil would watch as his father taught his older siblings how to use both armament and observation Haki as well as fishman karate. Afterwards, he would secretly practice on his own, and due to his raw potential, even at a young age, he was able to learn the basics just as fast as his siblings. Cecil's popularity throughout the East Blue quickly spread as word of such an incredible child traveled from island to island. Soon, Cecil had new pirate and marine admirers alike come to visit his island as an attempt for him to join their own respective causes. One day, while coming back from breaking a new record of swimming 45 miles away from his island, an excited Cecil walked into his home ready to brag about his impressive feats as well as his adventures in the ocean for that day. When entering home, he was face to face with a very confusing image. Right in front of his eyes was a man hovering over the bodies of his parents. Blood was everywhere. Cecil, still being 5 years old, did not fully understand what was going on and simply asked, "Why are Mommy and Daddy sleeping on the floor, mister?" Cecil then looked around the room and continued with, "And where are Big Bro and Sissy?" This man was Avion, Talon's adoptive father. Avion walked up to the boy and asked, "Are you Cecil?" Cecil replies with, "Yeah, that's me." Avion continues with, "Hi, Cecil. I'm one of your daddy's friends. Your mommy and daddy got a boo-boo and decided to rest on the floor for a bit. They left me in charge to babysit you while your brother and sister went into town to get some medicine and bandages." Cecil then said, "Oh, okay. Will mommy and daddy be okay?" Avion says, "Of course." He then attacks Cecil and after a solid struggle, captures him and brings him to a ship, where they then sail off to another island. Now out at sea, a blindfolded and restrained Cecil creates a mental map on how to get back to his home island from this new destination instinctively in his mind by using observation Haki. Once arriving there, Avion hooks Cecil up to a bunch of machinery and explains that Cecil is very important to his plans. He goes on to say that after hearing all the rumors and seeing his strength at such a young age, he is 100% confident that Cecil is the Abaddon, a legendary being born every 2,000 years with an immensely large amount of spiritual energy, life force, and willpower. So much willpower, in fact, that an Abaddon is said to be able to eat 2 devil fruits without any repercussion. By capturing one before it harnesses its true potential, he plans on testing out his invention known as Brain on Cecil, to see if it can overpower his will, take control of his brain, and thus prove once and for all to Avion that anyone's mind can be taken over so that he can continue his plans without fearing that there are people in this world with strong enough wills to go up against him. For months on end, Cecil was put through torturous experiments in order to further Avion's plans, but to no avail. As a defense mechanism to keep sane, every day, Cecil would ask if his family was coming to get him soon. Every day, Avion would respond with the same answer. "Yes, child. They will be here very soon to get you." However, as the months passed, Avion became continuously impatient with his experiments not working. Before long, Cecil could sense the utter hate in his voice as Avion would continue his lines of, "Yes, child, they will be here very soon to get you." One fateful day, when Cecil asked the same question he always did, Avion snapped and said, "No! Don't you understand, kid? I killed your parents. Your siblings ran away soon afterwards to look for you, and probably ended up dying as well. In fact, once you've served your purpose, I'll kill you too." Cecil did not say a thing. The only thing that kept him going was taken away from him in those short sentences. Filled with so much confusion and emotion, Cecil snaps. He calls Avion a liar over and over again as the base in which Avion and Cecil reside in begins to go unstable. All the machinery was overloading and eventually explodes. Cecil, now completely mentally deranged, attacks and overpowers Avion. Avion is only able to escape through the skin of his teeth, leaving an Abaddon Cecil on this remote island alone. However, due to the mental map that he had created, Cecil was able to get back home off of instinct. Once home again, he realized that no one was there, not even the bodies of his parents. Still in his abandoned mode, he continued to rampage through the town, killing and injuring many, and destroying most of the town that they lived in. Because of this act, Cecil was branded with the title of the Demon of the East, and given a bounty of 90 million. Because of Cecil's initial popularity as a young genius, this new nickname for the boy traveled just as fast. Soon afterwards, now 6 years old, and the only inhabitant of the island, Marines attempted to capture him, but he proved too strong, leading them to retreat and planning on calling in a buster call, the ultimate form of military attack, to end him once and for all. However, before that could happen, Barco appeared on the island, knocking out Cecil and relocating him to a new island. After Barco's acts of kindness, he eventually entered Cecil's mind through the use of his devil fruit, where he caused Cecil's mind to split, creating two beings in one body. The initial memories of this life up until meeting Barco were all stored away into other Cecil, and the initial memories of his life up until meeting Barco were stored away into other Cecil, and the newly created mindset started off with a semi-blank slate, only remembering bits and pieces of his past. As extra security, the mind of Cecil also made it so Cecil could never recall any of the previous memories of torture and abuse by simply making this new Cecil perceive the one with the true memories as being evil and someone that should not ever be let out. So I wrote this back in October 2017. Since then, I sort of expanded on it in certain aspects. Like, originally, I had it so Barco's acts of kindness were sort of the ticket to his mind splitting, but I decided that was a little lame. So I made it a step further, kind of show Barco's more sadistic side, I guess. I don't know if sadistic's the right word to use, but basically Barco's whole shtick throughout the series is the fact that he just likes playing games. He does care about Cecil quite a bit, but he and his brothers created this pact a long time ago to where each of them would adopt a child, and that child would grow up and be super famous, and whoever had the most famous, successful, just all-around great child would be the winner of the game. And he chose Cecil. So, Cecil, his whole split of the mind happened because Barco went into his mind and sort of separated the bad with the good. So he separated all of the bad stuff that happened, all of the traumatic memories and everything was sort of like a byproduct of what happened. He took the Abaddon mindset and locked it away back into the depths of wherever it came from in Cecil's mind. But with it, all the memories still lingered, and due to this, the overall like temple of Cecil's mind, in order to protect him, decided to create a whole new personality and hold the memories in that personality. And meanwhile, regular Cecil was created, like the Cecil that we know as the main character of the series, while other Cecil is the Cecil that holds all the memories of their traumatic experience as a child. And that's why he's so, just so enraged all the time, and why he wants his body back. And his whole goal is to try to find his brother and sister. That's all he wants. He wants to find his brother and sister and to kill the man who did that to his family, who he does not know is Talon's adoptive father. So they have quite an interesting, they have the same goal pretty much. Talon wants to stop Avion, and other Cecil wants to stop Avion. Obviously for different reasons, but that is something that they both share. They both have a disdain for Avion. And that's sort of where I wanted that to go. So other Cecil, he's sort of the real Cecil, while this new Cecil is not the real Cecil. So if anyone really wanted to know what was going on and why other Cecil was always considering himself the real one while other Cecil is the fake, it's because other Cecil is technically the original Cecil, the one that was influenced by the Abaddon. Well, and the Abaddon is not necessarily an entity within Cecil, it's a mindset that he goes into. And when he's in this mindset, his Haki just peaks, or it just goes off the charts, and he becomes sort of the Demon of the East. he just becomes a rampaging monster that is pretty strong, can't lie. But that's about that. That's other Cecil and Cecil. Well, that's other Cecil's backstory. There's more to it, because after that, we get into a other Cecil and Cecil sharing a body or like sharing a mind. Because at the beginning, it was just other Cecil was just in Cecil's mind talking to him like normally. He wasn't allowed to say anything because the mind was keeping all of that stuff away from regular Cecil, and regular Cecil was afraid of other Cecil due to the mind wanting him to be afraid so that he would never gather that information again. But at the end of the day, other Cecil is just like this trapped 6-year-old kid in his mind, not really understanding why this is happening, why he's not able to control his own body, who this new person is controlling his body, and he just wants out. He just wants revenge. He wants out. He wants to find his brother and sister. And that gets into the Barco like backstory, which I didn't completely plan out, but basically the way that I had it was going to be other Cecil and Cecil. They're at odds with each other because obviously other Cecil he wants his body back, and regular Cecil is like, I don't know who you are, I barely know who I am, but I'm afraid of you, stop. And then Barco is just like this nice chill old grandpa dude that takes new Cecil in and wants to help him develop his potential without going on all these rampages and everything. And that's where the whole sizzle thing comes in. So Barco used to play this game with Cecil, where Cecil, who at that point sort of idolized Heroes, because Heroes is a whole nother like subcategory of this thing. Where are we? We are at 48 minutes, but I'm gonna edit a lot of this, so I don't know how much we actually are. Let me go ahead and speed this part up. Basically, Barco fakes his own death. So back in season 1, I think episode 10? Episode 10? I'm not too sure, but I think so. In episode 10, Cecil opens up 3 doors. And in those 3 doors, there is Blomar in the first one, or Talon? Either way, Blomar and Talon in the first 2, and then in the third one is another guy, and he's like, I thought I got rid of you a long time ago, or something along those lines. And that is actually the person that Blomar, or that Barco, pretended to be killed by. But the whole thing about Barco is that he has a devil fruit that can control people's minds and what they see and what they perceive. So, well, not really control their minds, but he can enter their minds and cause illusions and all that stuff. So he was able to, sort of deal with that and pretend that he died. And that causes other Cecil to permanently get shunned from regular Cecil, which is why Cecil, at the beginning of the series, he didn't have other Cecil around. It's because of that event. It permanently, or not permanently, but, for a while, it kept other Cecil imprisoned due to the trauma of seeing this happen. For greater detail on that, because I'm now remembering a certain aspect, there's a lot of this stuff that I had planned out way better than the way I'm explaining it now, but, I haven't uploaded this series in a year, so it's kind of hard for me to remember all this stuff. But, basically, when Barco sacrificed himself, the Abaddon almost came out again, or quote-unquote sacrificed himself. The Abaddon almost came out again, but this was sort of like a test, because Barco was all like, my boy, if this boy can't control this junk, then, what the heck gonna happen in the future? I can't win off of this dude just being like some evil monster thing that they're just gonna end up killing at some point. So when Barco does what he does, other Cecil, who's terrified of the Abaddon and what has happened to him. Also, I forgot to mention, this is why other Cecil has 2, his eye color is different than regular Cecil's, because he's been controlled by the Abaddon. When you're fully controlled, your eyes are completely red, but because other Cecil was able to break out of the control, due to what happened with Barco and with his own mind, one of his eyes is completely red and the other one is orange. So he's not completely succumbed to the Abaddon, but that's a testament to show that at one point he was. So that's another way of realizing this is the Cecil that went through everything, while the other one, he's just a little baby boy. So other Cecil uses the rest of his power, quote unquote, that he has within the mind to try to hold back this entity from coming back to the forefront. And by doing so, it sort of like traps the entity within, but it also keeps him trapped in the deep dark parts of Cecil's mind, which is why he's not in the beginning of the series, and why it takes Cecil getting knocked out and being under so much pressure and everything to sort of resurface this guy, because Cecil, because of how traumatic of an experience this whole thing was for Cecil, it was kind of encasing other Cecil and it was encasing other Cecil who was encasing the Abaddon, basically, or trying to stop the Abaddon from getting to this new Cecil. So for basically the whole series, other Cecil has been protecting regular Cecil from the effects of the Abaddon. So all these traumatic things that have happened to Cecil, the reason why none of the Abaddon stuff has peeked its head in is because other Cecil has sort of been dealing with it in the deep, dark depths of their mind. And that also goes into angel fruits. So I don't know where I should go from here. So, where was I? Let me regather my thoughts. Okay, so the treatment that happened, that split these two Cecils into their own separate beings, now they are full-fledged people. Let me go ahead and circle back. The reason why neither of them are miniature is because the Abaddon in general has an overwhelmingly big amount of Haki at base. Like, Cecil at base has a ton of Haki in comparison to like a person who would just who just started off learning Haki like a few seasons ago, or a few few arcs ago, whatever you want to consider. But yeah, so at base Cecil has so much Haki, and now it's been split between two different people. So at this point, I would say, because it's been split in half, Cecil and other Cecil now, without the power of the Abaddon, their potential is still pretty high up there, but it is nowhere near like some monstrous whatever being anymore. So they other Cecil, obviously, he has better talent. He's trained longer with it since being a kid. Plus, he's just all around the more like smart, tactical one, while regular Cecil is the noob. But at their core, they're pretty much identical. It's just a matter of experience between the two. And where was I? Oh yeah. So the treatment, because it was such a jarring thing, other Cecil explains to regular Cecil that another thing that the doctor said is that they are linked. If one of them dies, the other one will die. So Cecil can't be going out dying, and other Cecil can't be going out dying without either of them completing their goals, because both of them got goals. They goal-oriented boys. Yeah. And what else? Oh yes, they're devil fruits. Who got it? That power's been split in two as well. So, here we go, boys and girls. These two boys now have two aspects of the Doku Doku no Mi split between the two of them. Cecil, regular Cecil, is immune to poison, and other Cecil can produce poison, but his body is not immune to it. So, this means that other Cecil has the more offensive ability of the two, while Cecil has the more defensive. But don't worry, that wasn't going to stay. Well, it was going to stay the case in terms of just their devil fruit ability, but I was going to have it so other Cecil, or regular Cecil, has a new way of fighting. When they all, recuperate or whatever, Leon, Talon, and Cecil go into Leon's ship, where Talon realizes that Leon has all of this pharmaceutical stuff that he can start using, and all these herbs and everything, and just like natural plants, all this different stuff that he can start using for his chemistry and his alchemy and all that. Because if you guys don't remember, Talon is an alchemist. He makes different potions and brews and whatever. And he was going to use this power, or like, not this power, but this opportunity, now being on the ship of a doctor, to sort of make pharmaceuticals and potions and medicine and everything for Leon and for Cecil to use. So Leon and Talon sort of have like a little tag team thing going on. They're the Doctor Bros or something. Talon, the way that it's figured out is Talon, he's making like this certain potion or whatever, and in its current state where he has it in, it's very, very toxic, very poisonous, whatever you want to consider it. And Cecil drinks that whole jank. He like, hey, I'm gonna drink this. And Talon explains, while the ability of the potion is more potent in that form, it is also a lot more deadly. So, Cecil's immune to poison, so he's not really too whatever about it. But sort of like Magellan, where Magellan in the regular One Piece series, he, eats and whatever, consumes poison, and he gets like the runs. That's sort of what happens with Cecil. But something that Cecil has realized is, because these things are in a more like I said, their effects are more potent, they are able to be used in a higher level than what other people would use them for. So now Talon can create these potions for Cecil to use, and they up his overall capabilities. And on top of this, Cecil can also use Fishman Karate to sort of control the water in his body and control the liquids and the poison in his body, and sort of shift them in ways to where he can kind of eject poison. So first he must consume the poison, and then he can eject it using Fishman Karate. So it's sort of applying both Fishman Karate to, but it's applying Fishman Karate and Devil Fruit, and his Doku Doku no Mi together to form an ability similar to what he had before, with a different limitation, which is now he can only use the poison as long as he's consumed that amount of poison. And also, it's an interesting thing that he's realized, where he can now take this poison, or this chemical substance that Talon creates, and it will have different effects on his body that are much greater than what other people would experience from them in their more diluted and safe to consume form. So he's able to run faster, hit harder, blah, 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 depending on what poison he consumes. And yeah. Meanwhile, other Cecil, he doesn't have the same immunity to poison. So, I mean, as we've seen, Cecil, or other Cecil, likes to use Fishman Karate quite a bit. So he's combining his Fishman Karate to, in the same way of Cecil, sort of shift the poison and liquids in his body so that they don't cause him too much harm. But if he produces too much poison in his body, then he will, get the effects of said poison. But yeah, so then the following season, like I already explained, that was Cecil's backstory, but then in real time, Cecil is recruiting a bunch of crewmates, and in the last episode of that season, he goes straight to the world government headquarters with his new group, where one of them has eaten the darkness fruit. And if you guys don't remember, the darkness fruit can open up a portal to the darkness dimension. In the darkness dimension, you have all of Yugos' stuff, and Yugos is the leading scientist for the world government, who has a whole bunch of secrets and junk. Jeff even said, like, my boy, you defeating Yugos is going to cause a big stir in the world government, because he has a bunch of junk in there. So Cecil uses this as a way to get into the world government and become a warlord. So at the end of season 4.5, Cecil, or other Cecil, I should say, would have become a warlord, a full-fledged warlord. Also, I was debating about this for so long. Like, when they split up, I was thinking, like, should they have a name change? I don't want to keep calling him Other Cecil for the whole series. So I was going to think, like, the original Other Cecil, who was the original Cecil, he was going to keep the name Cecil, while our Cecil, the main character, he was just going to change his name completely to Sizzle, or just go completely by Sizzle. And that was just going to be the way that things worked. And then Other Cecil was going to explore. I'll just call him Cecil. No, it's weird. It's weird. I'll just keep calling him Other Cecil, but in the actual story, he would have been called Cecil at this point. Other Cecil explains that he has a twin brother, so they're just going to be twins in the rest of the series. Most people are just going to consider them twin brothers, one being a warlord and one being an infamous, like, pirate that is not a warlord, I guess. So that was going to be season 4.5, and then going on to season 5, we were going to finally get into more of this Peace, Gov, and Hero stuff. When Cecil, Talon, and Leon return back to Nice Plaza, they see everything in ruin. It's just like, everything's been destroyed. And I think that's where season 4 was going to end. And then season 5? Yeah, season 5 was going to begin there. And it was going to explain exactly what happened. But the thing is that I was going to have an episode prior to that episode to sort of explain for, we were just going to focus back on Nice Plaza and see exactly what was going on. So, Mahogany Man, Andrew Danderson, Latula, Quincy, the Fourth, and Jeff were put into a pretty bad predicament. So, Jeff was in the middle of fighting in one of his rounds. We are now in, like, the top 8, top 16. I forget exactly where I was going to make it. I was going to have it so Cecil, Talon were still in the competition, and so were the Mahogany Boys, the Hero Pirates, as well as Jeff and some of the members of this organization that has been working in there as well, like Hit and Veil and all them. And while Jeff is in the middle of fighting, this is where they strike. All of the members start jumping onto the stage at the same time. Everyone's freaking out, like, what the heck is going on? And then that's where they explain that they out and about trying to catch some bodies of some warlords, because some boy hired them to do so, and that they are part of the Phantom Gun Tribe. That's right, the Phantom Gun Tribe with the Phantom Bow, the Phantom Gun Tribe, the Sneaky Gun, and the Phantom Bow together created, them. And that's why they were so interested in Talon's mask, because it is the mask of their former shadow leader. And on top of this, in general, this also ties into season 4, because in season 4, Yugos talked about how much he did not like Matthew. Matthew being the guy with the slow fruit from season 1, and that is because Matthew is the one who hired the Phantom Gun tribe to do this for him and get rid of all the warlords. So if you guys don't remember, in season 4, I meant season 3. So in season 3, there was like this scene where Jack and Felix, PewDiePie and Jacksepticeye, or Sean Septicson and whatever I called Felix Die something stupid like that. They were in the middle of talking before they went out to go after Cecil, Mahogany Man, and Leon. And when they were in the middle of talking, they talked about how, what was it? Like all the strikers went on a mission with James or something like that. James being the guy that fought against Leon. And then in this season, I think that it was this season, right? Yeah, it was this season. There was some guy named Richin who went over to the Fleet Admiral and he explained to the Fleet Admiral, what was his name? It was Barco, right? No, not Barco. It was Caro. Caro? Yeah, I think it was Caro. Richin explains to Caro that they found like a whole bunch of Yugos' men just like dead somewhere. If I remember correctly, that's what happened. So I really should take notes and really plan this stuff out more. But most of the stuff was honestly just things that were in my head that I never really jotted down. So unfortunately, I don't really want to go back to those videos and check exactly what happened. But the basic gist of it was Yugos was tricked by Matthew. And that's why he didn't like Matthew. And the reason why those strikers died at the place where they died is because the Phantom Gun tribe killed them. So that's what happened, basically. So the Phantom Gun tribe is on a pursuit to kill all of the warlords. That is a thing, and Jeff is now their newest target. They all fight against Jeff, and Mahogany Man and his boys jump in to try to save Jeff because they don't think that this is fair, the fact that it's like one against however many. So they all just start this big old brawl in the center, and it just turns into chaos all over the place, all over the stadium, just destruction and chaos. So because this is a hero island or a Peace Gov island, which means that heroes are the ones that are doing the job there, not Marines. They have to call in the heroes, and eventually things simmered down, and the Phantom Gun tribe left without killing Jeff. So that's where that whole thing in season 4 just completely, ends right there. So season 5 happens. They go over to their new island, which I forget the name of, and here is where things get a little shaky because I was planning it out. And while I was planning it out, this is where I just stopped really doing much with this series on my channel. But basically, it was going, like I said, it was going to tap into more of the Peace Gov and Hero stuff. So, on Peace Gov Islands, pirates are welcome. Anyone is welcome as long as they don't cause any trouble. If you don't cause any trouble, the heroes don't care. One of their mottos is basically titles don't mean anything. Whoever you were before you came to this island don't matter. As long as you don't got a record with us, you good. You can chill. We only go after people that we deem to be bad ourselves. And the reason for this is because they've sort of said in the past, a lot of these pirates are just pirates by name, and they don't actually go out and pillage and kill or anything like that. Sort of like how the Straw Hats, they just, they do their stuff. They save countries. So the heroes sort of understand that, and they don't just, because you're a pirate, that doesn't mean that you're automatically scum to them. You have to prove to be scum. So eventually when they got to this island, there's a bit more detail. I'll just go ahead and cut right to the fat, I guess. They meet a certain hero who has a sidekick or whatever, and the hero explains to them that there's this person that goes around at night and steals all the stuff and takes it somewhere. And they want to try to capture this person. And Cecil, Talon, and Leon decide to team up with this hero. And one of the hero's abilities is they can give other people temporary hero titles. So if they're a temporary hero, they are able to help the hero on said quest, whatever they are trying to pursue. So Cecil gets the title of Sizzle. I mean, his name's already Cecil at this point, so he just keeps his hero name, and they're like, what the heck, that's your name? And he's like, my boy, it's also my hero name. And then Talon, I forgot what I was going to name him, and then Leon I also forget. I don't know, maybe just their epithets, Sneaky Gun and Rogue Striker. Probably not. I'd probably go with something else, something a little bit more like different. I don't want it to just be the same. It's kind of lame. So they all join forces and try to go after this person. Now the kicker is halfway through the season, things get flipped as they like Talon, who has like the best he's an assassin, so he's able to like kind of stalk this person and keep up with this person a lot better than the other guys. He catches the person, and the person is this girl, and this is like midway through the season, and you find out that this girl is actually in the right, and that these heroes have taken over her island. Dun dun dun. So ignoring the little details, eventually they all side with the girl, and that's where we get her flashback, where she and this other guy, they used to be like these two kids. He was the son of this person who attempted to kill their king. So that person was hung for his treason, and the kid was taken in by her father. Her father being like this amazing like cook or whatever. So I wonder what she's gonna be in the crew. She has this whole tragic backstory with the dude. He wants to steal and like give stuff to people because so basically, oh my gosh, I don't want this to be so long, but I want to give the full like stuff that I feel like I owe it to you guys after making you wait for so long. So I'm sorry if I make this video like an hour and 30 minutes. I don't know how many people are gonna sit through it, but yeah. So where was I? The king, who was almost killed, he became so paranoid that he locked him and his family away in his castle, and he never leaves ever. And the heroes and Peace Gov saw this as an opportunity to sort of take over the island. So they made an agreement with him where they would protect him and his castle as well as his entire like country. And all he has to do is sign a contract that he will be able to sort of give them the rights to run things in a way where everyone just stays safe. And he signs his contract, and it's good for like 5 years or something, or 10 years. I don't remember exactly how long I think it was going to be 5 years. 10 years is sort of excessive. So for 5 years, it was good, and then he would have to renew it every 5 years. So they start moving in. They start changing this island up and making it more of a touristic spot, because Peace Gov is all about modernization and just changing things to be more tourist and money-grubbing friendly. So that's what sort of happens, and all the people that normally lived in that island start getting pushed further and further out into the outskirts. And this is not cool, because this was originally a good like fishing island, an island just where people would kind of dock, do their stuff, get what they needed to do, fish a little, trade, and leave. And it was, it was a nice island, a nice kingdom, so to speak. It wasn't like anything super robust or anything. It was just it was what it was. So the dudes and the dudettes, the guy and the girl being named Dana and the guy being named Lucas, they took it upon themselves to start stealing stuff and giving it to their home village, like the people that are now in the outskirts who can't make their living anymore. And Cecil, Talon, and Leon see this when they get to the island. There are still certain people that live there that try to keep their businesses running amongst the regular Peace Gov companies and corporations and everything, but they are not very well respected or very well compensated for their work. So it's sort of just a rough time for them altogether, and that's why Dana and Lucas are stealing stuff to bring back to them. And so this eventually leads to certain things happening. The dude who's now the new mayor that works under Peace Gov, he's a mayor. He's not the king. He just considers himself the mayor of this island now. That's just the title that he goes by. Or not the island, but rather the community that is built around this king and this kingdom, so to speak. So he eventually catches Lucas and Dana in the act of stealing, tells their dad, and their dad scolds them. They're mainly, Dana's dad, but he's taken in Lucas, so it's like Lucas is sort of his son too. And so was I gonna have a father-son relationship or more of like a student-mentor? I think it was gonna be more student-mentor. He was gonna like learn the cooking ways from Dana's dad too. And so this leads into Lucas doing stuff on his own, still stealing and everything. Eventually, one of the rules of Peace Gov is if you break Peace Gov's laws 3 times, the mayor is able to do whatever punishment he wants to said person, and that was part of the contract. But the king, being so scared, he didn't really like look over the contract all that much, not that heavily whatsoever. Uh, like I said, he was super traumatized and just wanted his kingdom to still thrive even without him. So this leads to the dad eventually getting killed. The dad gets killed in order for Lucas to stay alive. And this causes a pretty big issue in the town. And while this is all going on, the people that are, I guess, the equivalent to the revolutionaries, there's a representative on said island. He recruits Lucas, and they start this whole plan to get these people on the outskirts out of this place and into like a better place where they can get food and nourishment and love and care and warmth without, having to struggle every day. So some people decide to do this. Some people are too bound to this island. We grew up here. This is our home. We staying here. So Dana is all like, yo, I'll stay back and protect these people. Lucas, you do what you got to do over there. Or something like that. I think that's how I originally had it. But then I also wanted it to sort of be like Lucas disappears. And then the guy, the representative, he's the one who comes back and explains that this was Lucas's wish for this to all happen. And he like provides evidence or whatever. Because the guy's not shady whatsoever. But that sort of creates a smaller community that now Dana has to take care of, and that's why she, even 5 years later, is still stealing stuff and has created this whole like shadowy figure persona in the middle of the night that steals from these people and gives to her people. And I mean, it's not even like they're really missing out on much. Like the Peace Gov people, they want to put a stop to her, but it's not like they're really losing too much from how much she steals every night. But that's beside. Cecil, Talon, Leon, they all switch sides, and now they trying to go after the hero, and not only the hero but also the mayor and all of the Peace Gov stuff that's happening on said island. So they start fighting. You know how One Piece arcs go. You fight till you get your country back. So Leon is tasked with getting over to this king and stopping the contract from being signed over again so that this kingdom can once again go back to how it was before. So Leon has to go up against these 10 guys that Peace Gov has hired to protect the king. And it's like in a whole like secluded part of the island. Like it used to be connected by a bridge, but the bridge has been destroyed. So Leon has to go there by swimming. And when he gets over to the other side, he has to fight all these people and get to the king. So Talon is with sort of all these people that work underneath Peace Gov as well as the hero's sidekick. He has to fight against all these like droves of people while Cecil is tasked with the mayor and the hero. So Cecil fights against the hero, and while he's fighting against the hero, he finally says like a line that I was hoping I would get to at some point, which is basically calling back to when the hero explained to Cecil that titles don't matter, and Cecil turns that right back to him, and he's like, I guess you're right, titles don't matter, because you guys got to keep in mind, like I said before, Cecil used to like really idolize heroes, like the whole Sizzle thing, like the whole game that he used to play with his grandfather where he was the evil, or he was the hero that would save the day called Sizzle, and his grandfather was this demon of the East thing. That was sort of like a testament to how much he used to admire heroes before he decided to go with the pirate route because of hearing how free and stuff that they were. And so, yeah, he goes over to the hero, says titles, I guess, don't matter, because if you were a true hero, you would do something about the fact that all these people are now pushed to the outskirts while your stupid corporations are building stuff here and yada, yada, yada. Cecil then is like seen throughout the whole city spouting this stuff. It's not nonsense, just spouting these facts, these pure facts to people. And, he has a final fight with the heroes. Talon has a final fight against the sidekick and all of the like droves of people outside. And Leon has his final fight against the 10 people, eventually getting to the king. Cecil eventually getting to the mayor, along with Dana. I think Dana was supposed to accompany Cecil. Yeah, that was going to happen. Cecil and Dana were both going to storm into the town hall together. And it was just all going to wrap up into a nice little package, to where at the end Dana joins the crew as the cook. And yeah, if I had a bit like more time, I could have probably made it a tighter arc, but that was basically what I had so far for season 5. So that's all that I had. Other than that, I just had like some little inklings here and there, like Like, I don't know, Matthew was going to be one of the final villains. Caro also has a adoptive son, and he was going to meet Cecil at one point, and those were like, you know, they're sort of like the destined three to go up against each other because they're the sons of the three brothers. And Talon, being one of like the discarded sons, he was going to find the original Talon, and he, the fourth original Talon, and other Cecil, you know, they all have sort of a vendetta against Avion, so they were all going to do something at some point. And then Andrew Danderson and Mahogany Man, they were going to appear eventually, and it was just going to be, you know, it was going to be a lot. Honestly, I never saw an ending for this series. When I first started, like, making this series, me and Sneaky, we wanted to wrap up this series before he went off to college, and we were thinking about just doing 4, like, movie-length things where they just fight against, like, the 4 Yonko, basically. Like, even at the weak level that they are now, we were just going to wrap things up in, like, a super rushed but super compact and hopefully satisfying, because, I mean, this is a Minecraft roleplay. At the end of the day, we're not looking for anything too, you know, anything. So that's most of the stuff that I had planned for the future of this One Piece series. Like I said, I still have a few more things that I could say, but those were like the things that I had compact and cemented, like they were going to come up next. Like at the end of season 4, we were going to jump right into the other Cecil arc for 4 episodes, and then right into the Dana arc, and then from there, I had no idea. I think we were going to finally leave the North Blue and head into the Grand Line, and I didn't know where to go from there. But I had a few things for the ending. Like, I did eventually want to have... I don't know. I mean, I can't tease the Abaddon thing and then never make it happen, but I don't want the Abaddon... I don't want anyone to ever think that the Abaddon was going to be some kind of, like, Naruto-esque Nine-Tailed Fox transformation. I never want Cecil to be able to control such an OP ability and just become, like, this OP demon of the East thing. Like, I wanted the Abaddon to stay, like, a mystery. Not a mystery, but rather an enigma. I don't know if enigma is the right word, but, like, just this presence that always evoked fear and, like, dread. Not really, like, something like, hey, Cecil's gonna go Abaddon mode and take on Avion, or, like, take on this boy, no. That's whack. I don't like that. That's, like, the people that wanted other Cecil and Cecil to, like, eventually become friends and, like, just borrow each other's power and junk. It's like, nah, I don't like that at all. I'd rather just have them split up and do different adventures but still be tied together so that eventually their paths would need to cross again. That was my whole mentality. But now I'm just rambling. So I guess if you guys have any other questions, you guys can go ahead and put them in the comments. I don't know who's even gone to this part of the video. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about any part of this series, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I don't mind spoiling anything at this point, because like I said, I don't know if I'm ever returning back to the series, and if I do, it won't be for a long time, and by that point, I don't know who's going to remember any of this. But if you do, then congrats, I guess. You spoiled yourself. I mean, I don't really care about spoilers, so I don't really care, but I mean, like, I don't care. Like, whenever I'm watching something, I really don't care about spoilers, but I did care about this series and giving out spoilers in the past, but now I don't really care. Got it? Got it. Okay, good. So, yeah, other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. See you later. If you guys want me to do this for Yandere City, just let me know. I'll probably leave a comment asking all this stuff and, like, telling you guys this for the people that haven't made it all the way into 1 hour and 40 minutes. I don't know how long this video actually is, but right now this recording is 1 hour and 40 minutes, and that is wild. Goodbye. Oh, wait, no, my outro is thanks for watching. See you later. Bye.